Those guys.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Everyone is here, as we only have 6 of us now since Lori Smith's position is vacant. And Suzanne, you haven't had any inquiries? I've reached out a little bit, but haven't had anybody respond at all, so. Darn it. Roxanne, would you lead us to pledge?
Sure. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Josh or Greg, would one of you introduce the visitors, please?
Sure. Tonight we have Alan. Alan, I didn't catch your last name.
Kane.
Kane, Twin Bridges. My son plays golf for us. We have Casey Ellett from Dillon Tribune. We have Matt Rafferty of UMW. We have Katie Rafferty, who's our
And John Hanson.
filling in for John as the EFT union rep. And Janet Gentry, our high school geometry teacher. Is there anybody else hiding over there?
Let's find us.
All right.
Welcome, everyone. Okay, the first item of business is review and approval of the minutes. They were sent to you in your packet, or emailed to you, I guess. I move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion or comment? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is the review of the claims and accounts. Josh, should it be the red paper this time?
Okay. We have several, a little more than we had this in July meeting because we're ramping up the start of school. Because believe it or not, it's in 2 weeks when teachers first report back. And so we've been ordering a lot of supplies. So page one, the one that I call your attention to is a little past midway down the page. It's item 20870 Arbiter for $3,374. That's our register. That's how we get all our kids to register for our activities now. In the past, it was, you might have heard the term Dragonfly. That was the product we'd use. Well, the replacement for Dragonfly is Arbiter. So students, their parents are directed to go online, and fill out all the information. That's how they submit their required form for activities. Everything will be through Arbiter this year. So that's essentially our subscription and registration for that product. Any questions on that? Any questions on any other item on that page one? Okay, we will move on to page 2. You got a few right at the beginning of the page because we're starting off with a MasterCard. Of course, that's usually one of our most expensive claims. So that was $36,146.14. Now, a big chunk of that were technology-related purchases. So if you look at items 2 and 3, we bought 30 Chromebooks for $10,740. And we bought a handful of desktops and laptops for $11,830. So those Chromebooks are going to go over to the ACET. And I think we might be stationed in Miss Gentry's room. But that's going to help out over there because we were short, especially when we're doing testing over there. So we have a Chromebook cart also is in this purchase. That number one, that $1,280.16 says desktops and laptops, but I'm pretty sure that's the Chromebook cart that we got to house these Chromebooks and charge them. And the desktops and laptops will be going to teachers. We just had some older units that needed to be replaced and phased out. And so that was very pleased that we were able to make that purchase and those upgrades and updates. Any question on anything else on the page? That's to do with the MasterCard bill. Goes on to page 3 and continues about almost halfway down the page. You'll see we got Amazon. Well, if you look for number 21, we have what's called LR Project. Well, that stands for Locker Room Project. And so we spent Most recent bill, $4,036.18. We're still under budget on the projects, budgeted about 10,000. I think we're gonna be completing it around that, somewhere in the $8,000 area, so very pleased with that.
Is it about done now?
And it is about done. We've got, we're working on the actual female coach's locker room, upgrading it, updating that. We pulled out a bunch of old wood lockers. We're putting in brand new metal lockers. Kind of give it, kind of freshen the space up a little bit. Make it look more like a professional coach's office and less like a closet, if you will. A closet with some chairs and a sofa. So we're working on that. And the double doors are up. I think it's been framed in. I need to go over and look at it. I think we're still waiting to get electric hooked up to the handicap button. So that will actually function as it should. But we're still anticipating getting that wrapped up here very, very quickly. And essentially everything that needs to function for the upcoming volleyball season is functioning. So hopefully we'll be able to have people come in and tour when we can. If I've got somebody I can show them, because the girls, it's hard to get them out of there this time of year now. Once school starts and they're using that facility, but of course that's what it's there for. I'm glad we were able to make these upgrades and to provide them hopefully the space that they feel more comfortable and confident in to protect their privacy. Any questions on anything else on that page or regarding the locker? Okay, we'll move on to page 4. Didn't really have anything that jumps off the page yet in my head. Got a lot of activity-related purchases that began on page 3 and kind of went over into page 4. That's with the BSN sports bill. Everything else is kind of common claims, reoccurring claims. There are no questions on page 4. Move on to page 5. And I would draw your attention to the middle of the page. Item 20888. And that is general distributing. That's where we get our welding products, whether it's our cylinder rentals or equipment itself. And so number 2, you'll see it says C. Perkins. That means we paid for this using the Carl Perkins grant. So that didn't come out of general fund or flex fund or any of those monies. It came out of our Carl Perkins grant, which is a federal grant for career and tech education. And so that's actually a welding machine that we purchased for $4,000. Any questions on anything else on page 5? All right, moving on to page 6. And the first 2 items there to draw your attention to, items 20892. And that's K-12 Montana Inc. That should be a more familiar name to you, as we have a monthly service charge as part of our year-long contract with them. But we also got a new content filter, and the price of that content filter was $4,500. And so the content filter basically allows us to make sure that our students and staff, browse the web safely without being exposed to things that they shouldn't be exposed to. Kind of protects them from anything malicious or inappropriate. The next item is item 20893. That's Lexipol LLC for $6,000, and that's grant writer that I hired to help me with the school violence protection program grant, which I submitted this afternoon. So that has been submitted, but I wanted the grant writer's help with that because I only had essentially 3 weeks to get that done. It's a pretty heavy lift, a lot of work during vacation, a couple nights up here on the weekends, but we got it done. We're very hopeful. The original cost for what I anticipated for the project to be overall was about $100,000 over, a little over 100. So a little more expensive than I anticipated. So we did increase our grant ask to about a little shy of $330,000. And that did increase our cost from 50,000 to just shy of 75. We do have it, and because grants like these don't come around very often. So you feel like you got to take your biggest bite at the apple, biggest swing as you can. And so I still felt confident that it's something that we should continue moving forward with. And again, very hopeful because that their pay would be paying for over $200,000 of that project, and would give us the safety and security upgrades from a technology standpoint and surveillance standpoint that should be able to get us to the next 15 to 20 years. Not with the exception of replacing the hardware that comes out. The infrastructure itself should last for a long, long time.
If we're not successful with the grant, what do we need to do then?
We'll have to take a piecemeal approach.
Okay.
Right. And we can't do all that at once. So so the first part was this E-rate project, which is the cabling, which is scheduled to happen in October. And so that's when they're going to pull all the cable. That will allow us to have one singular PA system instead of the two PA systems we have now. We have a PA system that talks main building to the BW Lodge. It's an older system. The ACET has one of its own. So all this cable pulling in both buildings will allow us to have one singular PA so we can communicate much more quickly and efficiently. Not have to have two phones. When you're trying to dial, you're kind of using an elbow unless you have somebody beside you to talk on both those phones to make an announcement that's school-wide. So we'll at least get that done, and then we'll just see what kind of funds we have. And I'll mention this in my superintendent report, but we have that innovative educational tax credit. That's coming open again in October. There's over $200,000 available. As Roxanne mentioned last time, I would like to work on maybe some kind of marketing for that, where we put it in the paper, that we put on our Facebook page or our school website about that maybe they could contribute toward that district cost of $75,000. And it's for safety and security. And what I've learned, maybe I'm getting a little we'll skip that part in my report if it gets redundant there. But we have several community partnerships. We have a partnership, and we'll have some MOUs up here with Public Health, University of Montana Western, where they're reunification sites. I was able to confirm that with MaxHealth. And we have an MOU we'll look at tonight with the Dillon Police Department. And so it will allow, I think it will benefit VCHS, but it'll also benefit the greater community as well. I think just having the safety, because our campus is and our facilities are so used by the community, and all that surveillance that will give us on the state highway there, I think would really help and improve some of the infractions and maybe the safety down there as well. Any questions on page 6? Any further questions relating to Montana K-12 or life support? All right. Page 7. First item there, 20900. That's OETC company. And the charge was $4,378.52. That's for our Adobe licensing. Adobe is a software program that allows you to manipulate documents, images, PDFs, things like that. So that was our charge for that, and our Microsoft. So Microsoft has word processing, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. Next one is item 20901, Pearson Education Inc. for $4,957.96. Those were our chemistry books for our brand new dual credit chemistry course in partnership with UMW. And so we were excited to be able to, the board approved that the last meeting. I've been told those books are in and are already over in the ACET building in Miss Nichols' classroom. So we're excited to be able to offer that this year. And I was excited to be able to get those books for under $5,000, just under $5,000. Let's see. Next, a little further down the page, item 20905, Renaissance. That's the library subscription. That's $3,441.20. And that's pays for our maybe accelerated reader program through Renaissance. And some of our English teachers can give students quizzes on books they read from the library. And it kind of tells us whether they have how much knowledge that they retain from reading those books. Questions on anything else on page 7? Page 8. That's page, nothing that jumps off the page there. Any questions and claims on page 8? That's our last page of claims. We had a total of 48 claims from 46 vendors for a total of $108,307.62. As always, on page 9, you can see the breakdown of how we paid for those claims, which funds that they came from. Further questions? No, we're back over to Gary.
Anybody have any questions on the claims and accounts?
I would move to approve the claims and accounts as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the claims and accounts as presented. Or any question or discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. My voice isn't good tonight. It must be the smoke. I've been outside all day. Okay, next item of business is public comment. I do not have anything. Any of the board members have any public comment? Mr. Kane, is that when you would speak?
Yes.
Yes.
So my name's Alan McQueen. I'm here on behalf of my son Warren, and potentially in that respect also Twin Bridges High School, which he attends. And for the last 2 years, Warren's played on the Dillon golf team with Justin Roberts as the head coach. Last year, we were able to meet the cooperative agreement through fundraising and activities. What's changed this year to a degree is that we have a new athletic director. We're way behind the curve. She's brand new. She knows nothing. And I just found out today that there was a board meeting. I just found out today that the sports meeting's tonight. And so I scrambled today to try to even put anything together to think of, to present or even talk about. But basically, the situation that we're in right now is with the cooperative agreement. Twin Bridges is not willing to contribute anything towards the funding for, in this particular case, it's just Warren. He's the only player. So that leaves the onus on us to figure out how to do that. And so my reason for being here really is an ask or potentially a request of how firm, one, are you on the $1,500? Since it is just Warren, is there any way to maybe consider something else that might work so that we can still contribute in some way, financially cooperate, but something that also can fit within our budget that allows us time maybe to do some fundraising on our own in order to make that happen and give Warren a chance to be able to play golf with Dillon again. He is slotted, according to Justin, that he would have a varsity spot this year. He did play a couple of varsity last year. But as he improves and other people move out like Braxton and some of the other guys, that opens up the door. And so Warren would be a solid member of varsity this year. And I just want to give you that opportunity, and if you'd like it, if that's possible. Within the budget constraint, really, that's where we're sitting, is that's a pretty big ask for just us to be able to do that.
Is he a junior?
He's a junior this year, yes, sir.
I can't remember what we had came up with, in all honesty, on our co-op deals. Is that what it was $1,500
Yeah.
per sport?
And I believe they settled that before I went. Some of Megan did, or if some Gary did. It's kind of been an established policy in place. So if the board did want to consider something, it would, again, we can kind of take this as information on, as public comment. We have to make it an action item on at the next board meeting, or September board meeting.
And when does golf start?
Thursday. Practice starts on Thursday, where tournaments begin before school begins.
Since he has been part of the team, would he be able to, even though we can't act on it until September, would he be able to still participate until we acted on it in September?
That's something the board would have to kind of provide me with some direction with tonight that I could pass on to Brock. If we did, it just, with anything, you know, it sets precedent. And so with students in other sports, and of course, my understanding is correct, the reason that the fee was put in place was because we offer a slate of activities. Activities are very expensive, and there are very few, really only football and basketball are revenue generating sports. Volleyball may break even. Every other activity, we run at a deficit, right? And so golf is love golf. It's one of the worst. It's one of the most expensive sports we have. That did. So I'm on track. In fact, probably will run for the money. But so yeah, you know, with all other sports, if we're going to decrease the or look at some other kind of fee model, it would have to affect the other sports as well. We'll have other students coming in, other parents and guardians asking about it from we'll probably only have a handful maybe about other students in the co-op. So I'm not sure. Our biggest group is homeschool kids, but they're already in our districts. We don't charge them any fees beyond what we charge our own students.
Right. What did we co-op with last year? I can't even remember. What sports or what schools did we have a co-op with? Did Twin Bridges play baseball? I think.
Twin Bridges baseball, I know Macy played softball, Warren did golf last year. There were actually 3 members last year. But the other 2 were, in all honesty, they weren't really golfers. They were doing it for fun. But Warren is considering, you know, pursuing golf for college.
And isn't
And,
baseball funded through there?
We kind of split that. We have a cost sharing model,
Yes.
but we've kind of incrementally took on a little bit more. Like we just paid, I think, $5,000 or $6,000 for field dirt.
I'm sure.
It's really hard for me to let that check go when I'm paying for dirt, special dirt, and hey, we had a good season baseball wise. So yes, it was worth it.
Would we be out of line to maybe have you meet with Brock and see if there was something he could possibly come up with?
Yeah.
Would that be okay? Would that be agreeable with you, Mr. Kane? If try to meet before Thursday, if you and Brock could, and see if there was something. If we can't, not charge the $1,500, which I think we're probably going to have to still charge it, but maybe Warren would be able to still participate if we could get some kind of an agreement that we'd be paid the $1,500 somewhere along the line. Maybe I hate to see him not be able to play until September when we have our next board meeting.
And I'm certainly not opposed to having him put some boots to the ground and get out there and earn a little bit of it himself. It was really more of a time crunch and a time issue, having just found out
Sure.
where we were with it recently. That put us in a bit of a bind. So
Is everyone okay with that? If Josh meets with Brock and see if Brock is okay to allow Warren to participate until we meet in September and see what we can do? Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Is that okay, Mr. Kane, with you?
yes, sir. We wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment or discussion about anything?
Is it CAIN or
CAIN, yes, sir.
CAI.
And if it'd be a benefit for me to be there, I could be there when you guys are meeting as well.
Okay, anything else? Not, we'll go into the superintendent's report, Josh.
Okay, first thing we have is our district budget and TFS. So let's look at the district budget first. So if we call your attention, you should have a report that looks like this. It says that FY26. They were separate, I believe, wasn't actually in your board packet. So Susie put those out. So look at your separate packets. And then you'll have one that says budget report FY27. It's kind of stacked. We got a single sheet, FY26, you got a stack, FY27. What I want you to do is flip to page 2. This is where I'm kind of going to spend the majority of the time, unless there are requests to go deeper into it, because we can look at things individually. But basically, what we're going to do is compare FY26 to FY27. And we're just going to go line by line. Everybody have that? You can do this, the next page. On the right in the back. It's on the back of the first page. There you go. FY 27, FY 26. And so if we look at our first one, is 01, that's our general fund. So you can see that first column, our adopted budget. So we're proposing an adopted budget this year of $3,712,181.83. Now that is up from last year, which was $3,601,533.86. Now the good news is our mill values went way up. They went up significantly. Our mill values went up, not our rates, but the values went up. And so even though we're requesting to adopt a larger budget, what you're going to see is our mill values are actually going down, or mill rates. So let's go over to the last column where it says district mill levies. So if you look at last year in the general fund, we were levying 37.6 mills. And this year, to generate the same revenue, to generate even more revenue, the $3,712,000, we would only have to levy 19.42 mills. Now, why is that so possible? It kind of freaked me out when I first saw it, and Susie was reminding me that with the past legislative session, they passed that countywide equalization. And I think that's what we're seeing here is that coming into play. And they did that statewide to try to, but I thought, we're a countywide school anyway, so I'm not sure, how that formula worked. But that's, as you can see, significantly decreased the number of mills we'll be levying our local taxpayers, and still raising, basically 100,000 more than we had last year in our general fund. That sound about right, Susie?
Mhm.
If I speak out of turn or something, just let me know.
Plus
So-
the number to the left shows the actual dollar amount, the district property tax.
Right. So if you look at the second to last is district property tax, that shows you how much that we're raising locally for the general fund. So $668,829.33. If you look at the other revenue, which is the one just before that, that's the figure coming from the state, which is $3,043,352.50. So that's how it breaks down. But if you look at the breakdown compared to 26, you see locally in 26 we were raising $1,065,944.12 locally. So that's almost half that we cut for local taxpayers through that countywide equalization bill that the legislation passed. And then you can see the state only paid $2.5 million change the year before. So the state's picked up a larger portion of that cost while decreasing local taxpayers. It was definitely a political move. I think it was bipartisan, but I don't think we're going to have anybody complaining about it because it really helps local taxpayers.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to see that across the board. So you can look at transportation. We're looking at last year was $1,078,100. This year we're looking at just a little bit more, $1,133,888. And then if you go to the district mills, you can see we're 18.57. We're reducing that to 15.30. And then you can look at the cost shares there are about the same in transportation, where it's split between state and local funds. We are working with District 10 on the transportation services agreement, and I can talk more about that later, but they're basically agreed in principle to increasing their cost share for route bus transportation. So that's going to help bring this number down as well as time goes on. As District 10 contributes more, our transportation mill, because as they increase their cost share, we will decrease ours by lowering our transportation mills, which will save those in the PCHS tax areas. Bus depreciation, we're at $1.490 and $78.28 for the FY27 compared to last year at $1,390,418.47. So we're slightly up there. Now this is one where I think Susie and I wanted a little feedback from the board because we were at 4.69 mills last year. This would increase it to 9.03. Now, what do we use bus depreciation for? To replace buses. What do we just recently do? bought some buses. We bought, two new yellow buses for 300,000 and an activity bus for 80. We're still looking for another one. And so I do think there's there's some room. We could lower that if we wanted to. I don't know if I'd lower it as far as the 4.69, just so we could recover some of the costs there for those buses. But any discussion on that topic? How do we feel about that?
I mean, we need the buses. I guess I feel it's justified to be able to do that is how I feel. Anybody else?
What would be the value other than, explain the benefit of trying to match that up to the previous year, knowing that we have to replace these buses?
Yeah, it's just, I wouldn't try to match it exactly.
Okay.
The only thing it does, if you lower it, it's less taxes.
Right.
Now, if you look, I think we can show, hey, we really are. And that's thanks to that legislation, to that bill as well, in large part. But everything else is lower than last year.
Right.
So overall, we are. And so if I'm really being a stickler and I'm looking at this, that was the one way of, well, why did that go up so much? But then overall, it's been lowered way further than that little increase of 5 meals. 4
Yeah.
meals, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are important.
But I just want, again, I'm not opposed to keeping it like it is. I just wanted to be transparent, bring it up and see how everybody felt. I know we always want to do our best, to be honest with the taxpayers, only charge what we need. I think we could justify, say, hey, we just bought 3 buses, we're fixing to buy another one. I think that'd be pretty good justification.
I think the safety of our children is critical, and they
Yeah.
see the value in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so it sounds like we'll just leave it as is then?
I think so.
Tuition we went down, we had $64,782.70. Last year, our budget was $94,112.49. And that's basically, we do that for students decide not to go to VCHS, but go to another district like Twin or like Lima or Butte. And we don't have as many this year. Some of them are staying home. At least that's what we project right now. And so that's why we decreased that. And you can see, so the mill rate there went down from 3.25 to 1.74. Retirement, we're up $42,100 from 642,200, or up to 642,200 from $601,100. Adult education, we didn't have anything there before, but we did add a little bit. We added 0.82 of 1 mil. Now we'll generate $28,206.39 since we did offer those 2 art classes this summer that were pretty well attended. We had a pottery class and a painting class. And I think all the slots were full for each. So that would, this helps pay for that, providing that, those courses over the summer, and for, pay for the compensation for the instructor that provides that, which is just Angela Roscoe. Any questions on adult education? Okay, we have non-operating, it's 0. Technology, basically we have a $50,000 technology levy that stays the same. But the total here was last year was $57,515.81. That's decreasing this year to $55,859.94. And the biggest reason for that is the state's kicking in a few extra $100, which is they're kicking in $2,543.76, and then we're reappropriating an unused balance of $3,316.18 we didn't spend this year. Am I getting that right, Susan? Does that sound right?
Mhm.
Flexibility. Last year was $347,143.89. This year, we're increasing that to $396,144.58. And again, with the mill change, there's no mill change for Flex Fund. That's just basically what we have in the Flex account. So we don't generate revenue through taxes in the Flex Fund. We generate that through gifts, donations we put in there, our activity bus fees to District 10. That's where the activity portion goes. I want to be clear because the route fees they pay go right back in transportation. But anything activity related, we put in the flex fund. So that's really the only consistent revenue that we can count on to fund that budget.
Advanced opportunity also goes.
Oh, good point. Yeah. Advanced opportunity grant goes there as well. Any questions on flexibility? Building reserve. This is one of the more important ones. So this year, $484,639.12. Last year was $459,029.41. If you look at the mill rate there, that drops from 0.87 down to 0.60. And that basically allows us to raise the maximum amount we can.
Is that a permissive levy then?
It is permissive. But if you so look at the local, because that's important, right? It's a 75-25 split. So every $1 you tax locally, you get $4 in return. But it's capped. And so our cap is like we kind of the way I understand it, the best we can get is about 80,000. So we're going to levy, it'll raise $20,520.26. And then the state will kick in $59,499.74. And that again goes to our building reserve, which allows us to do any facility upgrades. So
that's where you pay for the upgrade from with the grant that you're applying for, the 75,000 will come out of building reserve.
No, for that, I'm thinking it's more in line like if we need to replace a boiler, we could do that.
Oh, okay.
Really anything that we can't cover in the general fund maintenance wise, I would look at doing building reserve.
Okay.
I think did we do any of that for the locker room at all or not? I don't know if we did.
Yes.
We did. So it was for the locker room renovations. Instead of using general fund, use building reserve. Again, it was $10,000 budget. We're under that, and so I feel pretty good about that, given that where we're sitting with building reserve. But yeah, you hope to grow this over time so you can do little projects. If you want to do concession stand, we needed a little extra money. Maybe we look at a little building reserve. I think, what else were we doing, Susie? I feel like I'm forgetting one. Is there something else we were doing recently with building reserve that was a bigger thing? I know the paint, we used that innovative education tax credit money.
I thought you were thinking building reserve for the matching.
Was it? I may have been. I'll have to look back in my notes for that.
That's what I thought.
I think
it said.
when Roxanne mentioned innovative tax credit, I got all excited about it. Well, maybe we don't have to touch that. Maybe we can use it for something else.
Right.
But yes, any kind of facility improvements that are structural and they count technology as part of that, the infrastructure part, we can use building reserve. Any kind of major equipment like HVAC or boilers or things like that, we can use it. It's like, otherwise it's mostly facility renovations. Any other questions on building reserve? I won't take up too much time here. So you can see our total funds. So the budget we're asking, recommending be adopted tonight is a total of $8,031,792.71. And that's up from last year, which was $7,680,645.42. But then when you look at the mill drop there, last year was 666.18 mills, so 66.18. This year we're looking at 48.36. And look at the local revenue from this year versus last year. Last year we taxed $1,903,222. This year $1,665,000. $1,665,345.62. That's a lot of numbers. But as you can see, I feel like we're doing really very well doing what's right by our taxpayers. And I think these sheets we could easily justify. If somebody had a question about it, we could just get just these two sheets out and say, this is what we're doing. We're being respectful. We're only taxing what we need. And if we're able to save the taxpayer money, then we're certainly going to do so.
So it'll be about $245,000 less.
Total, yeah. $247,000 less that we're
And
taxing locally.
18 mills less.
Which if we ever had to do an operational levy, maybe we could point back to that.
Sure.
And if we can keep a pattern of this over time, maybe they would be more amenable to supporting us with a yes vote if we had to run an operational. Anything else on the budget? You can see we had the last thing was the debt service. Debt service this year we're at 702,750. Last year was 701,300. The mills for that dropped too. So last year's 22.88 mills. This year it's 18.70. And that's for our, so debt service pays for our bond for the ACIP bill.
Thank you for explaining that.
Thank you.
I was gonna say too, part of tuition was doing a little portion of our one-on-one aids.
Okay.
That's it.
Pays for a couple of special education paras that are one-on-one aids. And one of them I'll be recommending for hire later on tonight. So we fully staffed there, which will be great if the board approves. If there are no further questions on the budget report, we can turn our attention to trustees' financial statement. And it's a meaty document. It's 50 pages, so we can spend as much time or as little time on this as you would like. On page 16 is where it kind of starts the breakdown of the general fund, and it compares the 2025 values to 2026 values. And so basically what this is essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this is a look back, correct? So this is kind of a look back, a reflection of the past year. And it compares the year before last and this past year and the finances from both of those years to kind of give you just as a means to check on to look for any kind of patterns in spending or in just funds that are increasing or decreasing.
Are there things that we need to be aware of in this, or?
I didn't see any. I mean, if there was something that should concern us, it would have showed up in our audit. We are audited annually.
Right.
And I haven't even had time to go back through this completely. I'm more concerned about the budget because that affects us now. Whereas this is kind of look back in history. And so I haven't had a chance to go through page by page and look at each fund for.
It's extremely complicated, and that's a lot of the reason why we have an annual audit, I think. It's hard to understand and it's complicated.
The one thing I noticed just right off the bat is that we did our taxable valuation, our tax values this past year were low. The year before that, they were higher. So we had a high year. I think it was like 33 point something mill value, $33 and change per mill. Then we went down this past year like 28. I'm not sure what caused that. And then we jumped up, 36? $36 per mill, 36 point something.
I think it was 33.
Is it? I think it was like a little bit higher. So we had a year where we went down, and then we bumped back up, and that really impacts these numbers dramatically. And so that's one thing we always need to keep an eye on is our mill values. As long as they stay healthy, then we don't have to tax as much. If our property values start going way down, that'll make our mills worth less. It means we have to tax more. So that's something that's the one thing I would say to remember. It's that always be conscious of mill values, what our property values are worth, and dramatic swings in those. But for the time being, we're good.
So if you do have time, I would appreciate it if you took it home, take a little time to look at it. I feel like with some of the things going on, it would make me feel better if you took a little time to look it over and let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to try to explain that.
But it has a breakdown of each fund. Like transportation starts on page 19, and then you've got bus depreciation on page 21. So it kind of just goes through and breaks it down. And what you'll see is that our 2025 values were higher than our 2026 values, the district tax levy. We were taxing more in 2025 than we were in 2026, this pattern that I'm seeing. in terms of the value, what the value we were getting. You like some more time, or we're ready to move on? We'll take as much as we need.
Then Josh, on the trustees financial summary on page 16, and it shows a comparison of the general fund for 25 and 26. Then do we have a copy any place of how the funds are going to be used in the general fund for 27?
We have a spreadsheet, yeah, that basically breaks it down. You know what I'm talking about, Susan? Kind of how we budgeted to begin with. We basically took what they call like a zero-based budgeting approach, where you start at zero and you fund everything, see what's left over. So I always wanted to do that, and I've always worked for clerks or line item clerks. The district. So Susie was kind of doing that already, I think. And I just went with it too, and I think Megan was doing that too when I saw her stuff. And so if anybody wanted to come in and see exactly what we're spending on what, I can show you what we have budgeted. Now, I won't break it down as to what, people are going to buy, because I can't, all I know is know what people are going to request. We just give them a budget. It's what you can spend, this is how much you have to spend for, your class, for a certain activity. We've got that broken down pretty well, I think. A lot of information to that, yeah.
I guess is what I was asking, and maybe you explained it and I didn't understand it, but here, last year we spent the 3,601.
That worked for our budget.
Our budget. And in our financial report, it shows how that 3,601,000 was spent,
Yes.
and how the 3,406,000 from the year before was spent. But then that's how you came up with the 3,712,000, is by going through these same items.
We still only spent the budget.
Right,
This just breaks it down exactly.
how
what
it
we
was
spent.
spent.
In a little more detail. Right now, we're just able to project. So we're gonna set
Right.
aside funds and budget for this purpose.
But your
Once the year-
3,712,000 is also broken down like this on an estimate.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, honestly, this 3,712,000 number, we just got these numbers, what, at the beginning of the month, into the last month? Or I know we get not the preliminary budget data number, but what was it we were waiting on that we just got? Was it, I think it was a tax value. We're waiting on that. So we can't figure out what this general fund, any of these funds are gonna be, because we can't figure out the local component.
Okay.
What they do is in March, they give us the preliminary budget data sheets, the state does, that comes from the Office of Construction. That only tells us what we're gonna get from the state. We can't predict the local numbers till we get those taxable values. We get the taxable values, we can actually put it in the formula, see how that's gonna, what we can raise, and that's when we can set our mill rates. And that's why we vote on it tonight to approve that, we can go ahead and run it. So we'll have a breakdown like this every year. We can have a look back. The reason again for the increase, we had a little more robust depreciation, and I think we kind of explained that. So that increased our overall budget a little bit, and our values went up. So we're able to generate more money and tax less at the same time. Just a win-win. And that's without a vote. Like I said, we're not proposing an operational levy or anything like that. That's 3,700,000 number, 712. That's the highest budget without a vote. So we could, and I didn't even see what was the gap there. It wasn't much. You know what the gap was with the vote? I think we could go up another 25,000 or so. Or was it maybe, it might have been up to
49 or something. That's
what it was
what
year before. I want to say it was around the same.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like it was, unless you're getting the 6-figure range, I feel like it's not worth running an operational in terms of the deficit. Any other questions regarding the TFS or the budget? They're all good questions. And if anytime you want to come in and understand it more, and I think Susie and I are more than open to hosting you and kind of going through it. We spend a lot of time staring at spreadsheets. Visual process.
Everybody okay to go on?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move on then to the ACE building repair project. So I had given you a sheet from Dan. And Dan apologizes, wasn't able to be here tonight. I was hoping to have a facility committee meeting, and that hasn't transpired yet. However, if you've noticed, there's activity going on the ACE building. And I'm sure some of you have been asked, why are we painting the building blue? It's not paint, it's sealer and vapor barrier. So they got to seal the block so they can apply that EPIS product. That sealer not only prevents the air from getting in and out, but also acts as a vapor barrier when they put on that EPIS product. They didn't want me to share a few pictures with you as well, so I'm going to see if I can minimize my screen here. I'll show you a couple of these pictures. So this is that brick product. Blow that up some. And that looks pretty good to me. That's a mock-up somewhere over in the ACE building. So you can kind of see what it looks like. That's what they're going to, once they get to, here's how it works. The EPIS goes on the whole building first. The whole building. This goes on afterwards as the accent. Now they're only going to put that bird reinforced mesh to prevent the birds in the upper portion. Not going to do the lower portion because we're putting this over the top, so that'll save a little bit of money. And this is not technically bird resistant, but it's impact resistant. And so if rocks get kicked up or something like that, it's supposed to have really good impact resistance.
And it will be on the front of the building on the Thompson Avenue side from the windows down.
Let's give you a look at that. That's what it'll look like there. Let's see if I need to increase the size of that a bit.
the actual pillars in the front will have it, and then the window, underneath the windows.
So it kind of acts as a wainscot. And the pillars will have that. And this will be the exposed ephes product, which is kind of like a stucco type texture. And we looked at some different varying degrees of texture as well. And then it'll be painted. And that's kind of the paint color. And that somewhat helps it, match our main building a little more, since that's similar to the color we have on the main building.
It's not really painted, it's right in the product, isn't it? We don't have to
I
paint,
think they're actually painting the bands, maybe.
or just the band, yeah. Okay.
That might be the actual color of the product there. But I'm not 100% on that either. It's another question for Dan. This would be a sign that would hang up there that they're working on for us. And hopefully that solves the problem. I mean, all the experts say it will, so I'm really putting my faith and trust in the experts. We are on budget. We're actually under budget by $50,000 right now, as you can see in Dan's notes. We are not anywhere close to on time or on schedule. I mean, if I had to take one of the two, maybe it'd be the under budget, but not by much. But at least we have some activity. They've been working a couple of weekends. They worked this past weekend, I guess,
Right.
taking out windows. So
Yeah,
that
they
was-
were glass guys. I went by there 3 times Saturday and there were glass people there. They were taking windows out.
So at least they're on it now, and they seem to be moving and getting things done rapidly. There's a massive amount of scaffolding in the very back there. You drive by that. So they're working hard to get that completed.
And this brick wainscoting, so to speak, Josh and Cole and Roxanne and I, through various emails and texts, decided to do that. It cost about $50,000 more than it would have been without it. But we were afraid it was gonna look like a industrial building or a prison or something if we didn't have some kind of a break up there. So this new brick, they call it, is the name of it. We thought that was worth spending the money to make it look nicer and cleaner and sharper. So
If we're able to, one day down the road, I'd really like to consider adding that to this building along the exterior to help it match that
Yeah.
one.
boy, that would look nice.
And then just doing a little paint refresh to make it match.
Yep.
Now that's down the road. That's not necessarily a priority. The boiler's more of a priority for me, but I kind of had that in mind since they're going to be similar in color anyway. I think it broke the bank. So that's one thing I've got on my radar is maybe matching our main building with this building.
But the back side and I guess it would be the east side will just be the EFS product.
Yeah.
All the way. I mean, nobody's really gonna be back there looking at it too much anyways.
Any questions on the ACE building updates there? Okay. Summer maintenance and repair update. As you can see, we're moving around well. We've almost got all the main building interior paint done. I feel like it's a pretty dramatic change. If you're here when the sun's out in those stairwells, it is bright, which is it's kind of refreshing. I mean, it is bright with the white paint, and then but I do think the blue kind of offsets it. We've got that nice gold band, this nice accent. We've had the major repairs are near completion. Floor waxing is the biggest thing going on right now in the main building. And everything's on time and on schedule so far. So pleased about that. Any questions for summer maintenance repair? Acceptance of resignations. I have accepted the resignation of Jordan Pluck for the positions of head speech, debate, and drama coach and key club advisor. You can see her letter of resignation from those positions and my response accepting the resignation from those positions in your board packet. Staff vacancies, we still have 2 full-time and 1 part-time custodial position to fill, and a mechanic position for the transportation department. We have decided to increase the compensation for the mechanic position from that was originally, I think, $18 to $20 an hour to $20 to $25. Just hoping we can find somebody that we can get in there that maybe that'll attract somebody. And we can do that because we have a little more flexibility in our transportation fund to fund that position. Remember, with transportation, you can only fund transportation related stuff. General fund, we have to fund everything. There's just not as much money in the general fund. A little more tighter budget there. We did have somebody come put an application this morning, though. I talked to her on the phone last week for a custodial position. So I think there's a good possibility that our next board meeting, I'll have somebody for that position to recommend for one of the two. And then we'll only have one left. I think we've got somebody for the part-time position too. Just has been challenging to get him in here to actually put in an application. So once we can drag him in here, then we'll be able to fill that one as well. And then, of course, tonight I'll have the recommendation for the last remaining one-on-one special ed aid para position. Updates to staff and student handbooks. I did include those in your packet. The only major revision has to do with student attendance and makeup work. And I'm trying to really try to thread the needle between adhering to state law on proficiency rules, which basically says you can't fail a student for not attending, so we can't just fail them. Like you're not here, you miss 2 weeks, you fail the class, that's against the law, you can't do it. So, but you can penalize them, it just can't be an academic penalty. So we're going to use detentions, Saturday schools, and school suspensions, just increase them there. Greg is committed to doing that, holding student attendance meetings and making sure we're consistent with those and meeting with those parents and having an attendance committee that meets with those parents to make sure that we let them know how important attendance is. And essentially, if it gets to a point where lack of attendance is impacting the students' grades, that's when the attendance committee can kick in those, ramping up those consequences. And basically put a student on an attendance contract and say, if you continue to miss school, here's the consequence. And eventually the students, they'll fail themselves. I saw a lot of that this year. There were some that were found the loopholes in the rules and we're kind of using that to their advantage. And the goal of this language is to try to close some of that up. I did meet with our staff leadership team over the summer about those and made some revisions and may make some revisions yet again to add more language down the road. But for the sake of time, those were the proposals I put forth tonight. So you can, one will say student handbook, one will say staff handbook. It's essentially the same language. It's just one is articulated a little bit more to the staff audience, while the other is articulated a little bit more to the student audience. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have on those proposed changes to the handbook. Again, it mostly deals with consequences and defining what an absence is and what types of absences there are. Mostly protocol and procedures. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on then to COPS School Violence Program Prevention Program Grant Update. As I mentioned, just submitted it today. And because of the increase, the estimated cost of the projects, I think just shy of $330,000. And so I get the exact number today. And again, our cost would be just shy of $75,000. And so if we're able to maybe put some kind of marketing campaign together, maybe we could get some people or some individuals or organizations to donate that for that tax credit for the purpose of making these upgrades possible. At least, paying for our portion. Any questions on the
I think
grant?
the biggest challenge on that is that it goes so quickly. You can really have the opportunity to get one in, maybe if you're lucky.
Especially this time.
But we would be able to use the next one too.
Yeah.
The next, when we open it up
If
again.
they still maintain the commitment the next cycle.
Is there a timeline on the grant though? Like,
When you secure those funds.
yeah.
So we'll know about that. They said late September, early October, we're awarded. And
Okay.
then I'm not sure how soon we would actually see those funds. That's a good question. So I have to, if we're awarded it, we definitely are looking into when we get money. We wouldn't But we can't really, this project wouldn't probably happen until we have to bid it. That's a 6-figure project. We already have 2 bids, and we'll see if they can beat those. I'd be surprised if they could. But we got to do this cabling project before we can do it anyway. The cabling's not happening in October, so we're probably not looking at camera installation and the PA system until the spring. At the earliest in spring, maybe in the summer, but it's possible we could look at spring, just depending on when we.
The thing to think about is like Vigilante does a safety grant. It's usually 3,000, 5,000, but we should at least reach out to them and ask if they would be willing to partner with us on this. I suspect they would. It's specific, they have grants specifically for safety type. Just a thought. It's potentially 3,000, but
It all helps.
yeah, it's an easy grant too. It's not hard.
Okay. Their forces in educational tax credits. We'll skip that. You can see there's October 7th at 9 a.m. when it opens. It's $236,000 is roughly what they think they have left over from the last cycle. So as Roxanne said, if we get some $25,000, we'd put that one in.
Yeah.
But so the largest donation we received would be the first one we try to type in there, because when they had what was it, over $1 million, or was it 2 million they had this past year?
I thought it was 6 million too.
Was it?
Six.
And it went in 12 minutes. 12 minutes. It's ridiculous. And I'm gonna appreciate it still. That's wild. Then we get down to MOU. So MOU with Beaver County Public Health kind of talks about how we would work together to promote health and safety of our students and community, as well as how we contribute in the event of a community crisis, what roles we play. And that can be found in your information packet. I think it's like a 2-page document. It's not terribly long. And let's see, then I have the MOU with Dillon Police Department, and that was a little bit lengthy. That was about a 12-pager. That one specifically addresses how we work together as organizations for this grant, what roles the school district plays, what roles the police department plays, and how it benefits both organizations as we go forward. It mentions the drills that we already annually do. We're required to do these drills by law anyway. And annual safety reviews. We do have a safety committee. So this will be one of the things we discuss at our first safety committee meeting for this new school year is whether, we'll discuss the grant, and then if we get the grant, how it benefits and the things that we'll have to do to make sure we're meeting the regulations of the grant. A lot of it's just, having meetings and ensuring that all these things benefit our students' community and increase our safety and security. The next is another MOU and also a hold harmless agreement with the University of Western Montana, Montana Western. The MOU permits the use of our campus and facilities during a crisis at UMW and discusses how we would work together to coordinate in such an event. So basically it gives them access to our campus and facilities if there's any kind of crisis on campus. Any questions on the MOUs? The next one, update on negotiations with District 10 for transportation services. To make a long story short there, basically what Gary and I work with Todd Rouse, who's the board chair for District 10, Randy Shipman, and was Greg there? Greg Fitzgerald, I think? No.
Greg Limlin was the five of us.
Greg Limlin was there also. So we worked and we came to an agreement in principle that District 10 would increase their cost share from last year, which was $30,000, to $100,000 this year. And then in year 2, they will increase from $100,000 to $200,000. And in year 3, they'll increase from $200,000 to $300,000, which will achieve roughly a 60-40 split with BCHS covering 60%. And then every year after the third year, would be a 50-50 split of the cost that's not covered by state or local funds. So it'd be just straight 50-50 after that. Also, as part of that, they wanted to have more voice in decision making. And so I suggested that we consider as an action item tonight, restructuring our transportation committee, which is currently 3 BCHS trustees, and reducing that down to 2 trustees from BCHS, and then allowing 1 trustee from District 10, so they can also have a voice in decision making. And so they participate in those committee meetings, parent appeals, things like that. I mean, those of you that have been on the committee kind of know how it goes. We probably spend most of our time on appeals, and it's usually just the first 4.
The rationale behind this whole thing is the taxpayers of Beaverhead County pay roughly $600,000 towards the transportation budget. It has all been assessed through Beaverhead County High School to the taxpayers, and then District 10 has used their transportation budget to reimburse our transportation budget by $30,000. 75% of the students roughly that ride the bus are District 10 students, and 25% are high school students. The total amount to the taxpayers won't change a bit. It's the same amount, but we felt, Josh researched this, felt that District 10 should pay a larger portion out of their transportation budget, since they have the majority of the students that ride the buses. If you split it equally, they would pay 75% and we would pay 25%. But we own the building and we own the buses, and we have Sean and Tara that run the show. So we finally decided that once we get through this process, that a 50-50 split would be a fair way to do it. We also have to run the over the road activity buses too. So we just kind of agreed that 50-50 maybe would be the best. By them paying more, then they wanted to have more of a say in it, which is why we recommend that we had 2 people on the transportation committee and they would have 1. And then we also kind of agreed that Josh and Greg and Brock annually would meet with Randy and Greg Fitzgerald and Joel Rogers just to see how it was all working. There's been some communication breakdowns, I think, throughout the years, and some animosity both ways maybe, and we just thought it would be good to have the administrative meet at least once a year, or more often than that if needed. But it just kind of makes sense. I don't know why for years and years and years our transportation budget has paid almost 100% of it, and theirs has paid a small amount. I mean, ever since I've been on the board, it's been like that. So it's time to make it more reasonable. And then theoretically, the rural taxpayers, their taxable amount will go down a little bit. And the people that live within District 10, their taxable amount might go up a little bit. We don't even know that yet for sure. But I think Josh would play with some figures. Maybe once it got to a 50-50 split on a $600,000 house, the taxes would probably go up less than $10 per year. So basically, it's not going to change anything. Just our transportation budget will go down and theirs will go up. So
yeah. So what Gary said is absolutely correct, and that was the rationale behind it. And just we wanted a fair and equitable cost sharing model, because we are sharing. We're sharing our transportation service with District 10. And I just, when I kind of discovered this, I just felt that because our tax base includes the entire county, that tax base shouldn't shoulder the majority of the burden. That it really should be the ones that use that service the most, or at least be an equal share. And that would be District 10's tax base, which is different. They don't include the outlying rural areas, and we do. It might be one thing that would maybe lead to a discussion of unification one day. Because if we were a unified district, it would all be the same regardless, and we wouldn't have these equations and cost share splitting and things like that. But I was very pleased that we were able to come to this agreement in principle. I hope to have a document, if not by the September meeting, by the October meeting. Just spoke with Randy today. He's presenting in his board's night, or I think tomorrow night, in the same way. And so I feel pleased with it. I think Gary feels pleased with it. And the more we can work together, District 10, and just bear any kind of animosity, increase our communication, then I think we put some of these things behind us, let bygones be bygones. Any other questions about transportation services negotiations, District 10? Okay, the last thing I got, some items still remain that are important. I'm still working on the street plan, PDU application, which is professional development, special education narrative default audit, also the Title I report, but that's not due to the spring. Actually, to a conference to work on that this past Thursday. Cognia accreditation review for a mid-cycle. I'll be working on that pretty soon. And of course, finalizing the contract with District 10 for transportation services. And you can see my August schedule to date, which is filling up rapidly. Any other questions for the superintendent report?
Okay, we don't have assistant principal's report yet. Of course, since this was Greg's first day, so you all moved in and ready to go.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Got some things on the wall.
Oh, good.
Got it in the computer.
Yeah, I got a computer, yeah.
Big deal.
Next is the activities report, and John or Brock is at the fall sports meeting, so
We have two items brought tonight. Gary asked me to check into this, and I was happy that we'd already approved it. But we do have tennis court repairs as part of our activity budget. So was that what, $5,000 for the court repair?
At the most.
I think, yeah, like $5,000 was the total bill to repair all the courts. And so I'm hoping they look fantastic. Brock tells me that's happening next week. Hopefully, I mean, as long as there's not even, any kind of environmental issues. We got some rain. Looks like, hope we get it. Hope we get dumped on with no lightning.
yes.
But that might delay the schedule a little bit if we do get that rain. But it's gonna happen here pretty quick.
I don't know if you've looked at the tennis courts, but almost all of them have large cracks in them and weeds growing up through them. They're almost non-playable, some of them right now. So.
The last thing on Brock's is somehow it got out, and Gary talking about this, about us charging senior citizens for activity passes. We're not going to do that. And so
2 weeks ago, my phone was ringing off the hook with somebody said that we were going to start charging senior citizens to go to activities. So
you can pass or we're not. They could come get a pass from the office. I can't remember what code it is, but Audra has a pass. Or if they just show an ID at the gate. I mean, most times our ladies, if they're doing the ticketing, I think know everybody.
yeah,
They're gonna let you in. So pass that word along so we can not have any drama from that.
Casey, be sure to put that in the paper, please.
Not charging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to tell Arthur charging him.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that one. That would be.
That's it for the activities director report.
Okay, on to the consent agenda items.
All right, 9.1, we have board consideration and possible approval of the recommendation to hire Kira Cox for the classified position of special education paraprofessional for the 26-27 school year. Kira came in this week and met with Michael Hoffman. Michael was gracious enough to come in on his summer vacation and participate in the interview. She's younger, but she's got about 5 years experience as a paraprofessional, including special education at the elementary and middle school level, and most recently at the middle school level working with students with Down syndrome. So I was kind of floored that she is as young as she is, because I think she graduated in 2020 or something like that. She has a boyfriend that plays basketball for Western. So we may only have her for a year, But with her experience, I mean, she was like a perfect fit. I mean, just Michael felt pretty confident about it. I feel good about it. So that's why I'm recommending her to you tonight.
You know her?
It's a whole new roster this year, so it could be about anybody.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, there's two.
She still has to go through all the paperwork, background checking. So really, it's contingent upon filling all those obligations and their background.
So you're looking for a motion right now? Yeah. I would second.
Moved and seconded to hire Kira Cox for the special ed paraprofessional for the upcoming school year. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
9.2, board consideration and possible approval to admit enrollment of out-of-district students. I don't have anybody new. Everybody's approved last time. There was one more we added there for you to sign, though, Gary.
I see that.
And when you get to sign, you can make sure to sign for the district of attendance.
You'll have to show me where to sign. Last time I signed in the wrong spot. Okay,
And don't see, like, put a tab on there, so he knows where to sign.
so that's it right there then?
Yeah.
I just check approves.
Correct. So no further consent agenda items. There will be no action for 9.3. I'll leave that on there maybe for a little bit. At least maybe another one more meeting in case we get anybody new.
For last month.
You can just date today.
Yes.
Human.
I still expect 4 more of those. That Audra make some calls today. I think two students are coming. So there's 2 that are outstanding, but on 2 more of those that we know for sure are coming.
Okay. Next would be the action items then.
Item 10.1, board consideration to approve the VCHS district budget and trustees financial statement. Well, the trustees financial statements for the 25-26, correct? So I should have put a better date there. The district budget is the 26-27.
Right.
So if we just make sure we make that correction with the motion.
I would make that motion. Sorry.
They moved and seconded to approve the BCHS district budget for 26-27 and the financial statement for 25-26.
Correct.
Those in favor say, well, any questions or discussion? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
10.2, as it relates to the ACIT building repair project, board consideration and possible approval to allow the facilities committee the ability to execute the following. Number 1, review the contract and, if suitable, number 2, agree with the contract. And then number 3, allow Gary the authority to sign the contract, because that's likely to happen between now and the next board meeting.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to allow the facilities committee to execute and review the contract, agree with the contract, and then allow myself, Gary, the authority to sign the contract. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Item 10.3, board consideration and possible approval of the staff and student handbooks. We could do them separately if you wanted, but since they're essentially the same changes, I just lumped them together.
I so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the changes to the staff and student handbook for the upcoming year. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Item 10.4, board consideration and possible approval of the MOU with Beaver Head County Public Health regarding shared responsibilities and joint efforts in the event of a community crisis.
Been moved and seconded to approve the MOU with the Beaver Head County Public Health. Is there any discussion or questions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Item 10.5, Board consideration and possible approval of the MOU with the Dillon Police Department regarding shared responsibilities and joint efforts to improve the safety and security of BCHS.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the MOU with the Dillon Police Department to improve the safety and security of BCHS. Is there any discussion or question? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Item 10.6, board consideration and possible approval of the MOU/HHA with the University of Montana Western regarding campus and facility use during a crisis at UMW.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the MOU and HHA with University of Montana Western regarding campus and facility use during the crisis at Western. Any discussion or question? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Item 10, let's see. Item 10.7, contingent upon a signed contract / MOU with District 10 for transportation services. Board consideration and possible approval of the reorganization of our 3-member transportation committee to comprise 2 trustees from BCHS and 1 trustee from District 10. So this does not include the actual contract itself until we get it, which will have kind of mention the dollar figures so you know. And then Randy said he's going to do the same with his board.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve, I guess, just say the contractor MOU, basically that reorganizes our 3-member transportation committee to have 2 from BCHS and 1 from District 10. Is there any discussion or question?
So what I would say, if approved, I believe our current members is Mike, Cole, Chris. So then one of you just become an alternate. So we just
Cole's like.
don't think you're off the hook. In case one of the 2 was unable to meet.
I made the motion. That doesn't matter.
Mike has kind of said he would stay on where you guys are both from out of town, so. If one of you guys wants to be on and the other would be the alternate between the 2 of you. Hopefully you can make it.
Either way, yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't really care. Either. But if Chris doesn't care, then I guess I'll be the alternate.
Pretty good strategy. Okay, so Mike and Chris are on the committee. Cole is the alternate. He got you, Chris. Okay, any other discussion or questions on that motion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Footnote.
Yes, that'll be.
Okay, item 10.8, board review of policy 8100 regarding school transportation. Now, nothing has changed with this. Looks like that's your last thing in your, nothing's really changed with this policy. Problem is, the last time it was reviewed was 2017. And as part of our title audit, one of the things they're working on, or one of the things they wanted was a copy of our transportation policy as it relates to foster care students. So, again, really nothing to suggest tonight, just that we accept the review, and I would recommend we just, keep the original policy as it in its current form, and we'll count this as a review of this policy, and so we'll update when it says last review to the date of tonight, like it has in this draft.
So
Second.
been moved and seconded for the review of policy 8100 regarding school transportation. Is there any discussion or question? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, then the last thing we have is litigation strategy. Do we need to do something with that?
Yeah, got a brief update, actually got something.
Okay. Before I go there, because that'll be closed session, Mrs. Rafferty or Janet, anything school-wise or teacher-wise we need to talk about?
Two questions.
Okay.
Can we access the exit building while we're working, or?
I think so.
You can get inside, yes.
Okay.
They're mostly working on the back, and then I forget which road this is. The side of the building is what they're working on right now. So if you go through the main entrance, you should be fine.
Okay.
Now, you may not have some windows.
Yeah, I know.
It's gonna be dark now.
Bring a flashlight. And then will you share the newest handbooks?
Yeah. Just want to make sure they're approved tonight. They'll go out.
Right.
I'm going to send out a bunch of documents this Friday. So I think that maybe we're going to start sending it. 'Cause I still got to do the PIR schedule for being. I got to do emergency drill schedule. I just send me one big email on Friday, and then you can let me know what I forgot, and I'll send that Monday.
Okay.
That sounds okay.
Thanks, guys.
Matt, anything?
I'm excited we have the MOU.
Okay. So I will decide that we're going into closed session. Since an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the school district, the session will be used to discuss the district strategy for pending litigation between the school district and other litigants in Timberhead County. So
Close the doors.
they're lumpy.
That one is.
Be it noted that we came out of executive session and back to general session at 8:50, I guess. Would someone like to make a motion from executive session?
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from the executive session.
Second.
Being moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the executive session. Any questions or discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Is there any other business to come before the board? Looks like our next regular meeting then will be September 14th at 7 p.m. We're ready for adjournment. You can make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone. So Roxanne, what are they doing for boys basketball? Does he just hire a whole brand new bunch of kids?
Had 3 returners, I guess I should say, but yeah, he brought in.
He's got some dudes coming in. I talked to him
Did
today.
you really?
If they show up. If they show up.
So who's coming back? Billy Hamilton and
Jerry Carlson
or
and
Carlson and me?
River Hurley.
And then Josh Whiteside.
Oh, Josh is coming back? Oh, he is? I thought he wasn't.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see when we see him, but he says he's coming back.
Did he have to have surgery on his leg?
No, he's doing okay, actually.
I'd like 60 guys.
Already 20.
What about the girls program? I haven't seen when he's signed anybody.
He's got a girl from Los Angeles coming in tomorrow. I
Really?
talked to him today.
He's got a picture of a 6'3".
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one.
Really? From where?
Where she,
That's the Los Angeles.
Oh, from Los Angeles.
He's got a good team. He's got a good league with us.
Does he really?
High
Spain is the girl from Manchester.
yeah, really gonna help him in the
Bigger.
post.
Stevie Guston's daughter, he said she might be.
Oh, you guys see, okay, we can go.
Where's he at?
See, was that Utah Tech when this got hired?
Did he go to Montana? I talked to him early in the spring. He told me his.
So he's maybe bringing in some height.
She's a shooting guard. He said she's really good.